I'm going to read you a paragraph, and I want you to count how many words you think are English. The diagnosis revealed a chronic syndrome affecting the patient's metabolism. The physician recommended therapy, analyzing the symptoms before prescribing a pharmaceutical remedy. The prognosis was optimistic. Sounds like a normal English medical report, right? Every single word I just emphasized. Diagnosis, chronic, syndrome, metabolism, physician, therapy, symptoms, pharmaceutical, prognosis. Every one of them is Greek. Not borrowed from Greek hundreds of years ago. They are Greek. A Greek person today could hear those words and understand them, unchanged, after thousands of years. And it's not just medicine. Go to school, biology, geography, mathematics, philosophy, astronomy, all Greek. Go to church, apostle, angel, Bible, baptism, cathedral, all Greek. Open any science textbook. Atom, electron, photon, chromosome, dinosaur, all Greek. An estimated 150,000 English words trace back to Greek. That's roughly 1 out of every 4 words in the English dictionary. In medical terminology alone, nearly half of all terms, over 20,000 words, are Greek. And in science and technology, Greek and Latin roots make up over 90% of the vocabulary. So how did a language spoken by just 13 million people today, fewer than the population of Istanbul, oh the irony, end up inside virtually every major language on Earth? Welcome to the Airlearn Language Show. The answer is a 3,000-year-old journey that involves Alexander the Great, the most important book ever written, the Roman Empire, and the birth of modern science. And by the way, if by the end of this video you want to actually learn Greek, you should. Download the Airlearn app. It teaches languages contextually. You learn the words the way they're actually used. It tests you, and you actually retain what you learn. It has over 30 languages. The link is in the description. So this might be the greatest flex in the history of language. Let me show you how it happened. To understand Greek's insane influence, you need to understand something about the ancient Greeks. They didn't just think about things. They named things. They invented the vocabulary of thought itself. Between roughly the 6th and 4th centuries BCE, Greek thinkers essentially built the frameworks we still use today for understanding the world. Philosophy, literally love of wisdom in Greek, was their invention. Not just the word, the entire discipline. Democracy, demos meaning people, kratos meaning power. They invented the concept and the word. Theater, from theatron, a place for watching. History, from historia, inquiry. They created the fields and then handed us the labels. And this is the crucial thing. When you invent the vocabulary for a concept, that vocabulary sticks forever. Because when later civilizations discovered these ideas, they didn't make up new words. They just used the Greek ones. Aristotle wrote about physics, from physis, meaning nature. 2,000 years later, when Newton was studying the same subject, he didn't call it something else. He called it physics. Hippocrates practiced medicine and talked about diagnosis and therapy. Today, your doctor uses the exact same words, not translations, not adaptations, the same words. The Greeks didn't just influence language. They installed the operating system that every Western language still runs on. But inventing brilliant ideas doesn't make your language global. Lots of civilizations had great thinkers. What made Greek different was Alexander the Great. In just 13 years, from 336 to 323 BCE, Alexander conquered the largest empire the world had ever seen, stretching from Greece to Egypt to the borders of India. And everywhere he went, Greek came with him, not just as a language of the army, as a language of administration, trade, education, and culture. After Alexander's death, his empire fractured into smaller kingdoms, but Greek didn't fracture with it. A simplified version of Greek called Koine, meaning common, because the lingua franca of the entire Eastern Mediterranean, from Alexandria in Egypt to Antioch in Syria to Babylon in Iraq. If you wanted to do business, study philosophy, or communicate across cultures, you spoke Greek. This lasted for centuries. Greek was the English of the ancient world, roughly for 300 years. And during that time, it soaked into every language it touched. Egyptian scholars wrote in Greek. Jewish communities translated their scriptures into Greek. Persian merchants conducted trade in Greek. The entire intellectual and commercial world operated in Greek. And then something happened that would cement Greek's influence for the next 2,000 years. Greece got conquered by Rome. Here's one of the greatest plot twists in the history of language. Rome defeated Greece militarily, but Greece conquered Rome linguistically. Educated Romans didn't just learn Greek, they considered it the language of culture and intelligence. The Roman poet Horace wrote, "Captive Greece took captive her fierce conqueror." It was seen as embarrassing for a Roman aristocrat to not speak Greek. And so Greek words flooded into Latin, thousands of them. Words for philosophy, science, medicine, art, religion, they all entered Latin directly from Greek. Latin philosophia is just Greek philosophia with a Latin accent. Latin theatrum is Greek theatron. Latin schola, which became school in English, is Greek schole. And here's why this matters so much. When the Roman Empire fell and Latin evolved into the Romance languages, Spanish, French, Italian, Portuguese, Romanian, all of those Greek words that had entered Latin came along for the ride. They spread across Europe, hidden inside Latin, like stowaways. So when you say school in English, you're using a Greek word, skole, that passed through Latin, scola, then through French, école, and then into English, ultimately school. 3 languages deep. And the Greek is still there, perfectly intact, after 2,500 years. And then Greek got what might be the most powerful distribution channel in history, Christianity. The New Testament, the most widely translated and distributed text in human history, was written in Greek. Not Hebrew, not Aramaic, Greek, specifically Koine Greek, the common language of the Eastern Mediterranean. And as Christianity spread across the Roman Empire, and then across Europe, and eventually across the entire world, it carried Greek vocabulary with it. Church comes from the Greek karakion, meaning belonging to the Lord. Bible comes from biblia, books. Angels from angelos, messenger. Apostle from apostolos, one who was sent. Baptism from baptizo, to immerse. Over 2 billion Christians worldwide today use theological vocabulary that is fundamentally Greek. Most of them have no idea. Every Sunday in every church on earth, people are speaking Greek. Now, most languages have their moment and then fade. Arabic had the Golden Age. Latin had the Roman Empire. French had the 17th and 18th centuries. They peak and then they recede. Greek did something no other language has ever done. It peaked in the ancient world, and then it peaked again 2,000 years later during the scientific revolution. When scientists in the 16th, 17th, 18th, and 19th centuries started making discoveries, new elements, new species, new concepts, they needed words. And they didn't reach for English. They didn't reach for French or German. They reached back 2,000 years and grabbed Greek. Telephone, tele meaning far, and phone meaning voice. A far voice device. Microscope, mikros, small, and skiopin, to look, a device for looking at small things. Photography, photos, light, and graphein, to write, writing with light. Oxygen, oxys, sharp, and genes, producing, the acid producer. Dinosaur, dianos, terrible. Sauros, lizard, terrible lizard. And they're still doing it. Pandemic, pan, all, demos, people, affecting all people. That word dominated global conversation in 2020, and it's pure Greek from 2,500 years ago. This is extraordinary. No other dead civilization's language gets used to name brand new things. Nobody invents a new technology and names it in ancient Egyptian or Sumerian. But Greek? Greek is still the first place scientists go when they need a word. In medical terminology alone, of the 43,716 recognized terms, over 20,000 of them, nearly half, are all Greek in origin, half of medical language. And the percentage only goes up the more specialized you get. In fields like cardiology, ophthalmology, and neurology, those words themselves are Greek. Virtually every term traces back to ancient Greek roots. So here's the paradox. Greek is simultaneously the most influential and the most invisible language in the world. Only about 13 million people speak Greek today. It's the official language of two small countries, Greece and Cyprus. Very few outside those countries learn Greek. It doesn't appear on any list of most useful languages to learn. It's not an UN official language. It's not the language of business, diplomacy, or entertainment. And yet it's everywhere. It's in your doctor's office. It's in your child's science textbooks. It's in the name of your church. Technology is Greek. Most powerful languages in history spread through empires and armies. Greek spread through something more durable, ideas. And ideas, it turns out, outlast everything. They outlast empires. They outlast armies. They outlast the civilizations that created them. The ancient Greeks are gone. Their empire is gone. Their temples are ruins. But their words are right in your mouth right now. And they'll be in your children's mouth and their children's mouths. That's not influence. That's immortality. And if hearing about how languages shaped the world makes you want to actually learn one, Airlearn teaches languages the way they're actually used. Contextual, practical, built to stick. Try it and see how you feel. See you in the next one.